Good to see you again. You know, when I started this channel, one of the first things I wanted to do was to share with you some of the pantry staples that I get from Patel Brothers, which is a nationwide chain of Indian grocery stores based here in the United States. I also discovered today that of the over 50 stores in the United States, the first one started in Chicago, and that's where I first learned about Patel Brothers. So this shopping trip, I went looking for this really terrific Lebanese olive oil that I found there last fall. And this El Kura olive oil, I think, is really fantastic. Now, I mean, we may not often have need for nearly a gallon of olive oil, but I bought extra hoping that I'd be able to share some with my neighbors. And this olive oil is very strong tasting. And I use it, I primarily just use olive oil in all of my cooking. So I use this not only in salad dressings, but also to saute with as well. And this was $18.99 for this bottle. I always have walnuts. I use them in my yogurt bowls each morning. And these walnuts weren't quite as inexpensive as I often would hope. They were $9.99 for the 24 ounces, but still quite good price for what you can find often in your regular grocery stores. And then I also found this really large bag of cashew pieces. And I was intending to use these also with my yogurt, but also thinking, now that I know what my cholesterol level is, having gotten my blood test done, that I should be using cashews possibly for making cashew cream or cashew sauces or things that maybe I would use dairy for otherwise. And then also these whole almonds, which I can make milk with as well as just use in other recipes. Now my friend Elizabeth, she turned me on to chana dal, and this is a variety of chickpea. It's a form of split chickpea, and these can be very handy for cooking in place of chickpeas. Some Indian commenters on the Guardian newspaper pointed out that they are not the same as a chickpea, but Mater Joffrey did describe them as being a type of chickpea, and I have found them to be useful in making hummus, and they're much more quicker to prepare than regular chickpeas that you need to soak and then need to cook for such a long period of time. One of the things also that I really like about Patel Brothers is the selection of grains and beans, and this red Burgle I was looking forward to trying as a whole grain alternative, and I like the fact that it was medium grain. One of the things that I commonly get when I go to Patel Brothers are their roti. Now, when I lived in Chicago, I had easy access to wheat tortillas, living in a Mexican neighborhood, but where I live here on the East Coast, I don't have as easy access to those. So these are a nice alternative, and I freeze these, and they are fairly good in terms of the amount of fat, being 1.5 grams per serving. Another thing that I was more easily able to get when I lived in Michigan were Lebanese or other types of Central Asian types of breads. I do not have access to these where I live more readily, so I did pick up some of these whole wheat flatbreads, and I like that these are made in a Canadian bakery and they don't have a lot of additives to them. Whenever I go to a store that has fool, which are fava beans, I do try to get some because I like to make a breakfast that is common in Egypt called fool, which these are called here, that has many of the same ingredients of what hummus does, but uses the fava beans. Patel Brothers is also fantastic in order to be able to get spices, bulk spices, and also to be able to get seeds. I was hoping to be able to get this Super Seed omega-3 blend that I had gotten in the past, but they didn't have it. And the omega-3 blend has flax seeds, sesame seeds, and chia seeds. And I already had some ground chia seeds, so I'll make that blend and reuse the plastic bottle that I had already. Another thing that Patel Brothers is great for are their dairy products. And I really like this Bulgarian feta cheese, and it lasts a good long time in the refrigerator. And like I had said in one of my other videos, I regularly eat yogurt almost every day with fruits and nuts and seeds and oatmeal. And so even though this is much larger than many of you probably ever would think that you would need, I do eat almost a gallon of yogurt each month. And so I picked up this yogurt. I actually prefer making my own homemade, but I decided to get some of this to tide me over until I make my next batch of the yogurt. Now, where I live in Rhode Island, we don't have our grocery stores don't have as many of the standard Morningstar or other types of soy products that I got used to being able to find elsewhere. So as I've shown you in my pasticcio recipe, these soya chunks, you soak them in water and then it can grind them, and they make a really good substitute for soy mince or ground soy crumbles that I would often get at Kroger or other places when I was living in the Midwest. And I saw the garlic they had there, but I realized that I didn't want to get some of the Chinese garlic they had, and so I decided to pick up some of the unpeeled garlic and use that in my cooking this time. And I also picked up a few things that were in the freezer. One of the things that I also like to have in my morning breakfast bowls is to add a little bit of coconut for additional fiber and protein to my bowls. And this is something, like I said, it's frozen, and I can just break off chunks of it and be able to add it to my smoothie or to my breakfast bowl. I regularly like to have edamame available around, also to add to any sort of ramen or any sort of stir fry that I might do. And when I lived in Michigan, I learned about this date syrup from one of the budget grocery stores, actually, in Ypsilanti. And I was attracted to it because it is a low glycemic index food, a sweetener. And so I'm looking forward to using that in some of my baked goods and as a regular just sort of substitute for honey or sugar. So those are just a few of the staples that I buy when I go to Patel Brothers, and I encourage you to check out the chain if you have one that's in the region. I know a number of my friends often make trips up to Chicago, and there are a number of Patel Brothers in the city as well as in the suburbs. And I think one of the nice things about them, especially if you're interested in eating healthier, is the wide range of whole grains and beans and lentils that they have available, as well as I know some of my friends are gluten-free, and they have a number of gluten-free snacks as well as gluten-free flours and other sort of ingredients that can be really helpful in your gluten-free baking or other gluten-free cooking. So I look forward to hearing from you. What are some of the strategies that you use to be able to get less expensive staples for the meals that you make? And if you would like me to check out a grocery store that you're familiar with, a nationwide grocery store that you're familiar with, please let me know your ideas. I look forward to hearing from you.